Hi everyone, welcome back to Minimalist Terrain. So we have a few tutorials under our belt already. They were for individual items. What we're now going to do is our first, well, it's not a master build, it's a small build actually, but we're going to pull some of those techniques all together to make an actual piece of terrain. And this is what we're going to go for. You would have seen this in the introductory video. A simple piece of scatter terrain using an MDF board, some of the stone tiles that I showed you how to do in the intro video, and we'll build up a wall around it just like this and give it a bit of character. Part of the reason why I'm doing this is to show you, one, how to start pulling some techniques together to start making your own pieces, but also to highlight just how quick and easy some of this stuff can be to make. It doesn't have to take you absolutely ages. So what I'm going to do for this one is actually time it. Alright, so periodically you will see me grab my cell phone and show you what time it is, just so that you know that I'm not cheating. Way back in the day I did a number of these for a wargames convention, and I think I did about 12 of them in the space of an evening. So they are really easy and quick to make. So I promise you I have absolutely nothing set up already. There is nothing in front of me. I haven't pre-made any of the pieces. You will see me doing all of that stuff. I haven't even got the equipment laid out anywhere around the place. So this is as if I had decided, hey, I'm going to do some crafting today and just get on with it, and I'll be dragging things out of cupboards and that sort of thing as time goes by, just to make sure that the timer is legitimate. What else do I need to go through? You will see me making an MDF board to place the terrain on. I haven't shown you how to do that. And yes, I am going to be using power tools. I know that one of the big ideas is that all of the things that you see me doing can be done with very simple hand tools. So yes, you can use a hand saw to cut MDF down into pieces. You can use a file to shape it out and get yourself a nice edge on it. But as you go on, you will build your tool set up. I've been doing this for a number of years. Yes, I have an awful lot of tools and toys and things like that. And because this is a speed build, I am going to flagrantly cheat and use every possible one at my disposal. So, saying that, quick time check. 12 minutes past 4. Let's see how long it takes. So first of all, we need stone blocks. You've seen me do these before. I'll just get rid of a little bit of that excess end because we want them a little bit more regular. Okay. Now, I'll talk while I'm cutting. The piece we're going to make, or the piece I had already made, was 2 blocks high. That comes up to around about waist height on a 25mm miniature, so it would give probably what your game would consider to be half cover. We'll take this piece up a little bit higher just so that you can get full cover for some of your miniatures. So I'll do at least 3 or 4 rows of blocks. Doesn't matter if the lines aren't straight because these are meant to be irregular stone. And as you can see, I'm not doing any measuring on this piece at all. It is all just being done roughly by eyeball, just to give it a little bit of character. And then, actually one thing I've just decided to do, because I can, I'm going to put an old doorway in these ruins. So I want an upright, we'll make it about there, and there, and then cut the rest of these into blocks so that I've got plenty. Alright, time check, 6:17. Sorry, 17 minutes past 4. Okay, floor tiles, far easier with a guillotine. Take the guard off there. Now that's the edge. Right. 2.5.
Okay.
Gets a bit fiddly when you get to the edge of the guillotine. Tiles done. Time check. 23 minutes past 4. Okay, so quick set of tools while out in the light rather than in the workshop, because the lighting's better out here. I've got just an old piece of MDF. There's a couple of dings in it, so I'm going to cut those off and get to a nice piece that we'll use for the terrain, and then I'll use the angle grinder to get nice edges on it. Okay, there you are. There's the board. Time check. 4:33. So back into it. I'm going to use some neat PVA. The first thing we're going to get down is the floor tiles. So let's just get a line on here. I'm using neat so that the tacky effect takes up almost immediately and we shouldn't get too much in the way of lift. You can also see that I'm employing another one of my tricks, which is doing the modelling work on a old oven tray. Because it's got a little bit of a wall there, it keeps things all together and you've got less chance of overspill and that kind of thing. Just get these stuck down. And yeah, we'll go there. Okay, so there's our floor tiles in place. Now it's time for the stone blocks. Just make sure they're stuck down. Now, because I'm using foam, what I've done is I've got hold of, this was just from the dollar store, whatever you guys call it, contact cement, but it does rubber and wood. So it's ideal for this. I'm not sure how PVA would last. Actually, I can get away with that offcut just there. Get in place. I'm just going to use it straight from the tube. There we go. Alright, I'm going to take the line of the wall out a little bit past, and then along the front and down the side. Start off with the corners, or a corner. Alright. Get one of our entryway pieces. Actually no, I'll do that one further along. Now I've got a little one to stick in there. Okay, so I've done it like that, just so that you've got clear entryway onto that tile, which as we know has been geared up towards normal wargames scale. There you are. And around the corner. Doesn't matter if things are a little bit on the irregular side, because let's face it, it is supposed to be ruins. Okay. Make sure we get a little bit on that side. And then I'll take it out to there. We'll leave a brick and do these out to there. I need a half brick. Glad I made those. Okay, how's that looking? Yeah, not too bad. Alright, I'll just pop another couple of blocks irregularly around, just to give it a little bit more character. Time check, 5 to 5. We're now going to start on with the ground cover. I've mixed up part PVA, part water, a little dash of detergent, and we're now going to get some ground cover on. Now I have made this quite runny so that it will keep a little bit of wateriness while I'm getting it on and around, and I'm not going overboard with everywhere that I'm putting it, but we'll make sure we get some over in the corners because you would expect debris to collect there. Maybe a little bit more around there. Definitely we are going to get it, we need a nice big bit of ground cover. We're going to make sure that we overlap with these flagstones. Quite abstract. Oh, get a good bit around the blocks there, because obviously that's had more damage over time. Like that. Alright, just make sure that that hasn't dried out. And then number 2, blend, build as sand, just get it all over. Make sure that you've got a good coverage. Alright, don't be sparing on it. Make sure that you've got a reasonable amount on there all around so that it's going to stick like so. Give it a bit of a press just to help with that initial adhesion. In fact, I tell you what, why don't we put a wee bit on some of the tops of the walls there, because that looks good. Alright, now that needs to dry for, well, I'll give it about 10 minutes and then I'll shake it off. Time check, where are we up to? How are we going? Oh, just after 5 o'clock. Okay, so it's had a couple of minutes to dry. Let's lift it up and get rid of that excess and see what it's looking like. Make sure you grab it by the edges. Just give it a tap. Alright. Yeah, not looking too bad at all. Okay, so, and here we go. This is the reason why I use an oven tray, because it's dead easy to pour back into the container. For reuse later on. Now, hopefully you can see, but there's still a few areas where the sand is darker. That's because it hasn't dried properly, so it's time to employ the most important tool, and let's force dry that area. The other good thing about using a hairdryer is because it's a nice blast of air, it also manages to get rid of any excess that's just going to any excess that's just going to come off when you dry brush, and then it's going to leave the other stuff behind. Okay, that is, yeah, that's certainly touch dry, that's not a problem. Happy with that. Alright, time for a base coat. Back outside, let's get some primer on this. Normally I would use, for cheapness, I would use the household paint, but in this case I'm actually going to use a spray because, hey, we're cheating and it's on a timer. Where are we up to? 12 minutes past 5. Right. Cheap primer, nice dark grey. Then that means we can dry brush with light grey, and that's not a problem. I always love the first coat of primer because it starts tying together the model. So that it becomes one single unit. Now what I'm doing to get full coverage, I'm going to do it from at least 6 angles. Normally the front and back, or the long sides, they're the ones that I would be spraying straight onto, like I'm doing here, and then the shorter edges, they're the ones that I do on an angle. Just to make sure we've got into all the nooks and crannies. That looks about right. And then just make sure you turn your can upside down, spray it just to clean the nozzle off, and that can sit and dry for a little while till it becomes touch dry, and then we'll get the next coat of paint on. Right, so we've got it touch dry. I cheated again, used the hairdryer because it's all timed. So now let's go for the first dry brush. Well, the only dry brush, to be perfectly honest. Now, I'm not going to pay too much attention to here because they're going to go a different colour. That's going to be soil, but we're definitely going to make sure that we get all of the flagstones and the blocks. Oh, a bit thick there, but that's alright. And just make sure that we do the flagstones thicker so that it picks them out nicely. Oh yeah, that's alright. Don't worry too much if some of the sand starts coming off. This is a fast build, so there is going to be an amount of stuff that we're just going to put up with. Just be a little bit more gentle on the walls because they can bend with them being foam, and you don't want to accidentally snap any off. But at least it's not, with it being rubbery, you've got a little bit more plate on it than you would with something like XPS. Alright, getting there. How are we doing for time? 5:30. This is really cheap brown acrylic. Whoops, it's very runny. I'll get an amount in there. One trick that I learned from my daughter and her art school, or art classes at school rather, is that most paints are very harsh on the pigment and not necessarily natural, so you always pays to add just a little bit of grey to it, to, I think the term they use is denature it. I'll get a little bit more in there. Yeah, that's a bit better. Okay, and then I will get on with painting the ground area. Just going up and around. Because there's already a coat of paint on and we're going to be putting flock, actually I'll do the edges first. That's probably going to be the most sensible thing. Because we've got flock going over the top, anywhere where it's a little bit lighter and the grey is showing through just a fraction, what you'll find is it all sort of blends together by the time you've got the flock on. So don't be too picky on this particular stage. All you've got to do is try and avoid getting the brown all over your bricks, because you don't want to be repainting that for the sake of just a few seconds. of patience. My hands are okay. Right, I'll get on with this. Last part, flocking. Yeah, you can tell how long ago I made this blender flock. Our youngest is now 14. So, big brush because I'm using big areas. Alright, again, make sure I just get round the base properly first. Get around those edges. Doesn't matter if you go over a little bit onto the rubble, because at the end of the day you're always going to have a little bit of grass poking up, and it just blends that in nicely. Hence the reason why I'm using quite a large brush. I am not all that worried about going over into other areas, because we do want it all to blend in nicely. Have I got that side done? Yes, I have. Back to the back here. And then flock blend. Make sure you get enough sitting up and over the base lip, because you do want to get that covered. It's going to be the first part that rubs off, but that doesn't mean that you should skimp on it now. And then just make sure that you've got a decent covering everywhere else. And because now all that we have left is drying time, just allowing that flock to adhere and stick, and there is nothing else to be done apart from get rid of the excess. I am calling the time at 5:45. So there you have it. 1 hour 33 minutes from absolutely nothing to a finished piece. Now, admittedly, it's very basic, but as you gain in your crafting skills, obviously there's a lot more you can do to this. Different colours, add weathering, washes, a little bit more foliage, but hey, it's fast, it's easy, it's a good starting point, okay? Yes, I used a lot of cheats and I used machinery and things like that, but even just using basic hand tools, you can do a number of them over the course of an afternoon or a couple of evenings, and very, very quickly you're going to find you have an awful lot of finished product, and that's just going to populate your tabletop and make for a far more exciting game. So I hope you like that. As we go on and we learn new techniques, we'll be doing projects like this to tie it all together, make sure that we can put into practice what we've already learned. You want to see more of this kind of stuff? Please do the like, subscribe, share if you want, and I will see you next time. Until then, do it at speed and get crafting.